Israel's military has advanced deeper into the northern Gaza Strip as they continue their ground invasion. Israeli tanks, and other armored vehicles are moving further into Gaza City, the central location for Hamas. Israeli troops freed an Israeli female soldier this week who was being held hostage, and this is the first hostage rescue since Hamas kidnapped over 220 people a month ago. A total of 5 hostages have now been freed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, also this week, he rejected calls for a ceasefire as airstrikes continued to hit Gaza.
Hamas is holding over 200 Israeli hostages, including 33 children, holding them, terrorizing them, keeping them as hostages. Every civilized nation should stand with Israel in demanding that these hostages be freed immediately and freed unconditionally. I want to make clear Israel's position regarding a ceasefire. Just as the United States would not agree to a ceasefire after the bombing of Pearl Harbor or after the terrorist attack of 9/11, Israel will not agree to a cessation of hostilities with Hamas after the horrific attacks of October 7th. Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to surrender to terrorism, to surrender to barbarism. That will not happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible says that there is a time for peace and a time for war. This is a time for a war for our common future. Today we draw a line between the forces of civilization and the forces of barbarism. It is a time for everyone to decide where they stand. Israel will stand against the forces of barbarism until victory. I hope and pray that civilized nations everywhere will back this fight. Because Israel's fight is your fight. Because if Hamas and Iran's axis of evil win, you will be their next target. That's why Israel's victory will be your victory. But make no mistake, regardless of who stands with Israel, Israel will fight until this battle is won, and Israel will prevail. May God bless Israel, and may God bless all those who stand with Israel.
A couple important points from Bibi there. All of the congressmen and liberals and media members across the planet, but especially right here in the United States, are siding with the terrorists when they call for a ceasefire, because there are over 200 people still being held hostage, which includes Israelis and Americans. On that same note, it's hypocritical. When America was attacked, we hit back because it was the just thing to do. And justice is an important word with tons of biblical precedent. I did a whole episode on this called Peace Through Victory. And Netanyahu says virtually the same thing I did. Israel must fight and they must win because that is the only path to authentic peace for them and for places like the United States. Getting quality, good-priced meat products is proving to be increasingly difficult these days. With Bidenflation, the prices of everything in the store is just going through the roof. When you make fuel more expensive, that costs the farmer more, it costs the shipper more, it costs the grocer more, and it ultimately costs you more. That's why you need to check out Good Ranchers. They'll ship directly to your house. They're 100% American beef, chicken, seafood, and pork, all sourced from independent farms in the United States. Check the link in my show notes and use the code RANCHER1010 for 10% off their best-selling Ranchers Classic Box.